think it shows that the developers just have really no direction, and the person who is, you know, leading them so far is just kind of disconnected from what the player base actually.
Let me just give this guy a message in advance. It is what it is. Removed from the program. We respect your opinion. Get out. BDO's Kharazad accessories won't bring back players. A based take. True. But I still think that Kharazad is good because it's a step in the right direction. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but I think that Kharazad is kind of a step in the right direction for the game.
That's going into the balloon as.
Oh, yeah. I saw this one too. We talked about it yesterday, or we talked about it. Yeah, I think it was yesterday. We keep falling even after big updates. What can PA even do to stop this? Now, in fairness, I think that the life skilling patch did a lot of good for them. I do. This was after the Kharazad update, and like I think that the global labs definitely restored at least some of the players' faith in the game. Let's see what the Steam charts look like right now. Yeah. Yeah. See, this is good. This is good. Higher 14.5 peak is good. Again, granted, we've still technically lost a few, right? And our average player count is still technically down. But like it's a little improvement, right? It's a slight bump over last month with 13.9. Or wait a minute. Nope. Last month was 14.2. Now it's 14.5. And that's just peak. And it's the weekend. It's true. It's true. But like, let's be honest, we haven't peaked this high in over 2 months. So this is good, right? More copium. I'm trying to be reasonable.
Like
okay?
Unspoken frustration, right? And, you know, as we continue to blow the balloon up, it's going to reach a point where that balloon is just going to pop.
Well, I popped like a month ago and now I'm out of air.
Welcome back. Welcome back. So the new accessories are out, and unfortunately the player
Alpha
base
team just resubscribed for 3 months. Sorry to hear you lost partner, but I think you make awesome content regardless.
I'll keep making the awesome content that you like so much. Thanks so much for the 3 months, man. Really appreciate you. I have not let it get the better of me. It'll be fine. I will continue making better events than Perlibus does. It's okay. I will continue making better shit than them. I will continue having higher stakes than them. I will continue having funnier content than they do. It's all right.
numbers are not really reflecting this big change into the game.
Well, nobody
which
cared.
is definitely not the right direction that we want to go. Right? You know, I think the developers think they're trying to improve their game, but as the players' numbers show, it's not really working. Which, you know, if we look at Steam, that's just kind of a sub portion of the population, right? Like I play through.
I hate stupid people. He's explaining it perfectly. I hate these stupid people that always say the same thing. Well, Steam is only like 40% of the players. Actually, most of the players have it on the client, so that number isn't actually indicative of how many players. Shut the fuck up. It's a trend. You're not even looking. These numbers don't even matter. I mean, like, I just said that they matter, but like, it's the trend that matters, right? It's the trend that matters. And like, what you're looking at is the trend from last year in November. We're at 28,500 players, peaking, right? Peaking at 14.5 is substantially lower than that. I don't know the exact percentage. Oh, I should do 14.5 divided by, was it 28.5? We're at about 50%. We're at about 50% of where we were last year. And people that don't know how to read a chart or a graph and don't understand player trends aren't like they're just mentally ill. They're unstable. They're unfit to even open their mouths. But sadly, Twitter exists and they feel that their opinion is valid. So like, this might be hard to see on a line like this, but this is a pretty substantial decline from where we were over here to where we are now. Now, I will say again, I'm trying to be positive about it. It's at least better than last month. But if you look at since the start of 2024, you can see that 2024 is coming up red. just like America and its presidential election. Had to say it. But like most of this year has been just losing players all year long. We did like this is the expansion here, and then it's just been a decline, right? But like again, we're peaking higher than last month, at least for the first time in since the start of the year, guys. We started at 28 down to 26, 24, 2 kind of stayed even here, but the average player still went down by 2%. So we peaked higher, but the average players was still 2% lower.
For 2 months.
And again,
keep making BDO great again.
I should really look at this number, right? I should look at this number. This is the average players. This is what you want to look at here. Hey, Warsong, welcome back for 2 months, man. Thanks for continuing to support me. I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much. Every subscriber matters. All of you count. I appreciate all your support, guys. So December 28-1, January 18-6, February 17-9, 17-6, 17-4, 15-9, 17-1. That's where the expansion came in. Expansion hype, the exact same number, basically. Oh, actually, a little bit lower, right? Down to 13.1. Expansion hype is gone. 12.5, 10.4, 10.3. Like, so it's continued downhill for the last year. And like, again, it's the trend you're looking at. So it's the percentages you should really be looking at overall. And the percentage of players that we've lost over the last year is roughly 50 to 60% of our player base since the start of 2024, right? And that's rough. That's really hard. And BDO has never really been struggling this hard since like 2018, in like 7 years since I started the game. It's been a little tough. And like, that's not to say they can't pull out of it. Again, we're hoping that this turn right here, these players logging in, we're hoping that this is the first turn on the corner. You know what I mean? But like, you know, we'll see. Let's see what he has to say about it. But anyway, it represents the greater player base as a whole. So if the graph trends downwards on Steam, it represents enough of the player base that the launcher should be reflecting the same trend.
The main launcher and not through Steam. And I'm sure a good portion of the population does that as well. But
head case,
it still shows a good snapshot of the players in general, right? You know, that are kind of playing or not playing the game. And I think it shows that the developers just have really no direction, and the person who is, you know, leading them so far is just kind of disconnected from what the player base actually.
Let me just give this guy a message in advance. It is what it is. Removed from the program. We respect your opinion. Get out.
Once, right? Which just blows my mind. Like, you know, if we look at Lost Ark, you know, 1 to 2 years ago when the player base was just fed up with the changes from those 3 stooges that took over Gold River's position. I don't know if you remember those 3 guys, but guess what? At least someone high up in Lost Ark, right, understood the situation and had Gold River come back and do an emergency stream to address all of the concerns and to state that, you know, he's going to find a better director to take over his position. But
that's true. That's exactly what Lost Ark did. The head director of Lost Ark got like fired or stepped down or whatever and let the other people take over. And then Lost Ark started turning around, right? Like I'm not crazy, right? Let's look at Lost Ark Steam charts. So, boom. Let's look at Lost Ark Steam charts. For the past, it'd be over the last year. Okay, so this is where their players fell off. Well, actually, it would have been back here. Oh, right through. It would have been in 2023. Somewhere around June of. Oh my God. Okay. So they were at 93,000. Right, 104, 210,000. They started losing players dramatically. Boom, boom, bam. This is where it starts coming in. This is where all the players started going to BDO. They bottom out at like 41K. The guy steps down. They try to pull back as many players as they can. They recovered back to 92, 94 peak. And now... Okay, so Lost Ark, I don't really feel that Lost Ark pulled out of their rut. You could say that a lot of these were bots. Like this peak is like, yeah, that Lost Ark had a serious botting issue. But like you can't realistically say Lost Ark has more players than BDO. It's just the truth. Okay, it's just obvious. They have more players than BDO. But like you're looking at again the percentages of the players that have dropped. Here it is right here. Oh my God. See, they lost 40% of their players. They lost 22% of their players. This is when the guy said he was going to step down or they replaced him. And they said it. They did emergency streams. They said they're going to turn the corner. 7% of the players came back. 29% of the players came back. 6%. There's the expansion at 57%. Yes, they lost some here, but then they immediately regained them again. And they've been relatively steady since then. I don't see the same reaction from BDO though. Again, Jae-hee Kim is never going to relinquish his dictatorship control over BDO. And I just don't see, like, he just thinks that he knows what he's doing and like he doesn't. So like, it's hard to see that BDO is going to follow. Lost Ark at least pulled out of it. You know, Lost Ark pulled out of it and they pulled out of it within 2 months. BDO's declined. It's lost 50% of its player base since the start of 2024. And we still don't see the upward trend yet. Like we've got a higher peak today, but the average players are still lower, right?
Like, bro, we pay your salaries, right?
We do.
And, you know, they know that the player base is dropping because they gave us another free J-Hammer if you log on and just play the game. And a few other free stuff too, which I'm not complaining about. But, you know, they did mention, like with Node Wars, you know, they were going to give us the option to choose kind of which system that we wanted, which I don't think
someone
that's really going to make a huge
I don't see your
difference.
Follow though.
You know, like the player tolerance is definitely reaching a bullying point, right? And maybe we're already past that point. I don't really know, right? Like for instance, let's take a balloon, okay? And each time you blow into that balloon, it gets bigger, right? And I want you to think of the air that's going into the balloon as like unspoken frustration, right? And you know, as we continue to blow the balloon up, it's going to reach a point where that balloon is just going to pop, right? And I don't think we're there just yet.
Oh no, we're there. We're definitely there. That was a great analogy. I actually loved. I'd rather it not be a Marxist illusion. I don't know what the that means exactly, but like, I thought that analogy was pretty good. People are blowing up a balloon to get the developers to notice, right? The balloon keeps getting bigger and bigger, and they're blowing all of their frustrations into a balloon, and then it pops, and all of those things all of those frustrations, they just go into the wind. And then there's no more balloon. That's it. It's over. Right? I think that we are at that point, and I think that as we move forward here, like the BDO partners are kind of being censored. You know what I mean? Like it's really obvious, right? I wasn't the only partner removed. So like it makes it pretty obvious that they're removing people now for making negative content about the game, which I think puts my channel in a very unique position to give a really unadulterated, unbiased view of the game state, because now you're never going to get that from any of the BDO partners anymore. They can't tell you, or they'll just be removed. Like, it's just like, at least that's where we're headed to. That's where we're headed to.
But we're definitely heading into that direction. And I don't know what they really can do. If Jay,
I don't blame them for wanting yes men. That's not the problem. I blame them because they're not upfront about it. They say all the time they love feedback. It's okay. We don't want to dictate your feedback. We don't want to bottle you up. And now we've turned to the corner. So now we see the true colors. Now we get it.
Would step down in a new direction.
The balloon analogy doesn't work. Why the balloon analogy doesn't work is that some negativity escapes the balloon as people leave, and the balloon gets a little deflated as new people start playing the game. No, usually it does work, because usually the people that are willing to scream and voice their frustration about the game are the same ones that are staying with the game, and they really are passionate about the game. You know what I mean? Say what you will about D-Jules and how much he bitches about BDO and how upset he is. It's a super passionate guy, right? He's a really passionate guy. I'm trying not to use myself as an example, but like, obviously I'm super passionate about BDO too, right? And the people that are really passionate want want to make sure that the game is as good as possible, right? And so they blow into the balloon. They blow into the balloon because they're trying to get the developers to see it. And it's not until those people all let go at the same time. And that's what we've seen now. There's no more Doomer content out there for BDO for the most part. You don't really see it. This is the closest thing you're going to see to Doomer content. This video came from a Reddit post, right? And he's just talking about it. I wouldn't even call this Doomer content. He's just explaining the game and the game state, right? And like, it's kind of like the canaries in the mine shaft. There's not really a problem until the canaries stop chirping. We're the canaries.
Director took over. Would that help the direction of the game? I really don't know. I do know that I love this game and I only wanted to see it in a positive state. So, just a lot of concerns there. But let's talk about those new accessories that just came out. I'm not the biggest fan of them personally. And, the big reason why is that it forces every player to enhance. Whereas before, if you didn't want to enhance, you could just buy the gear off the marketplace. But now with the new accessories and the new sovereign weapons, you're forced to use crons and you're forced to enhance your gear, which I really don't know if that's a good direction for the game, to be honest. For me personally, I don't like that type of restriction. And with BDO over the years, right, you had that freedom with the gear to either enhance it or to just buy your gear off the marketplace. And now, you really can't say like as before, if you didn't like to enhance, you could just buy your gear. But now that's kind of just starting to get phased out of the game, which
so true.
I will say props to them with the enhancing aspect.
Okay, so I let them, guys, I'm trying to do this thing with my reacts where I try to let people finish their thought before I pause it, because people are upset because I pause it so frequently that it interrupts people's thoughts and people just want to watch the video sometimes. So like, I'm trying to let people finish their thought and then give my thought, and then we move on to the next thing. He actually kind of cooked there. I was going to disagree with him initially. I think that Kharazad, the way he explained it was actually really unique, and I liked that. Kharazad, I feel like, is kind of a net neutral from my perspective to the game, because you get build diversity, right? You get build diversity, more build diversity, but you're also losing a little build diversity because you can't choose that last accessory in your gear wheel anymore. It used to be 5 debos and an accessory of your choice. Now it's 6 Kharazad no matter what. It doesn't matter. But you have the crystals, right, that you can mix and match. So like, I think it does increase your build diversity, but not like a crazy amount. But it still requires a lot of cron stones, right? This is the downside. Like, yes, it's less cron stones, but the cron stones are still required. And now everything on your gear wheel requires cron stones to enhance. That's where we're at in 2024. And this is what has frustrated and made Kharazad kind of a controversial thing for Black Desert, is the fact that people don't really like this cron stone crap. And now we've got it. You can't even avoid it on your accessories now, right? Like, it's just, you can't even use Jatinas anymore. We don't even recommend people to go Jatinas, right? It's Kharazad or bust. And just like he said, and I didn't even think about this, so I give him props for this. I think that tips Kharazad a little bit more in the negative direction, because he's right. You can't buy your gear anymore. Sovereign as well. There is no way to circumvent the enhancement system in BDO at all. And I think that is a big deal. That is a huge deal, right? In terms of like the sovereign weapons, which can't be sold on the market, and the Kharazad accessories, only the armor can you buy off the marketplace. That's a serious problem. That's a serious issue. Like, a lot of people will say that, oh, well, there's a pity system now, so you don't have to do that. The pity system is really, really unforgiving. Look, I know that a lot of people like to give them props for the pity system, like at least giving people the shit after a while. But the pity system is way too hard. You'd have to fail on a 30% chance like 10 times in a row to get it pitied once. I hate to compare it to other games, but Throne and Liberty, the pity system in Throne and Liberty means that at the maximum possible value, it's a 10% chance. And at 10 attempts, you're guaranteed to get it. If this was BDO and it was a 10% chance, you'd have to get 30 attempts in before they pitied it to you. Right? It's well beyond what people are willing to do for it. And I think it's still demoralizing. And it's not that something that people like to talk about, but we're unfiltered now, I guess. And he makes an excellent point, right? He makes an excellent point that like you can't buy gear because that's used to be what we tell people to do. Buy your gear. Now you have to suffer the enhancement system and it, with crons too. And there's no way around it. You have to buy cron stones. You must buy cron stones. You cannot get around it. Before you could get around buying cron stones by just buying your gear at the enhancement level that you wanted it at. And now we're going to force you to pay to win or to grief yourself by buying crons.
Aspect of enhancing because, you know, they have dramatically improved that aspect with the pity system. But, you know, either way, I just don't like the restriction. It does seem that these new accessories are cheaper to make, therefore making them a little bit easier for more players to obtain, which I do like that aspect.
That's good.
I guess another kind of con is the lack of diversity of the gear now, which for me personally, I don't really care because you can now put like specific traits that you want onto these accessories to kind of still give you that diversity of the gear. You know, like if you want to stack AP or accuracy, right, you could do that. I think another issue with the new additions of this type of gear is like, what's the point of getting this gear when there's really no need for it? Because, you know, most of the content is gear capped anyway, right? And with open world PvP kind of being non-existent, there's really nothing to push you to get this gear, you know, unless maybe you live like on the Arsha server. But let me know down in the comments kind of what your thoughts are. Do you like the new accessories?
Yeah, again, I already gave my thoughts on the new accessories. I think that as far as like having a reason to grind, you could take two stances on it. The old stance, even if people never wanted to PvP in their lives, they hate PvPers, it's that resentment for PvP that kept them grinding, because when a PvPer comes in, they just dumpster them with all of the gear that they've been grinding for, and they keep right on going. So like they're still grinding with a PvP motivation, it's just negative motivation, right? Like, or the opportunity that someday maybe they could join a Node War guild, right? Or they could join a Siege guild and have a lot of fun with people. But like he's right, a lot of the motivation for players was just to have PvP. Whether they liked PvP or not, it was still PvP. They removed the PvP from the game, and now it's just PvE, right? And he's right, there's just not a lot there. There's just not a lot there. Like when you remove that motivation. And so I think a lot of players have kind of stopped playing the game because they feel unmotivated to play the game. I think that's why we saw a huge part of the player base leave. It wasn't just the PvPers that left, right? There's only a small portion of the player base that kind of likes to do PvP on a regular basis. Node War, Siege guilds, AOS, and all that stuff. But a large part of the population of the player base was playing because someday they might have to PvP. Or maybe they want to PvP someday, and all of those players, I think, departed the game because they can't find the motivation to play anymore. He's right.
And kind of the new direction of, you know, forcing its player base to kind of enhance and rely on crons. But we're going to take a look at this post and kind of see what people are saying. So let's go ahead and look at that now. All right, so I've looked at this post and the comments. Falling even after big updates. What can PA do to stop this? And then this person, AOS is untouched. They give you the gear. No. AOS is not untouched. They've touched the shit out of AOS recently. And from my understanding, based on what Choice has said about it, they've kind of fucked it up. I think that a lot of people that liked AOS before, all of a sudden they started making all these changes to the game mode. And a lot of people are kind of unhappy with those changes now because they just can't stop up PvP. Here kind of puts a picture up of the player base. Now look, this is kind of a little bit of a clickbait here. This person probably just took a picture of kind of like the lowest point, right? No, he didn't. I saw it at 6,500 3 days ago. And so if we actually look at the Steam charts, we can see here that that's really not the case, that, you know, there's a significant decline. We can see that the average player now.
Oh God, no, God, dude, he's stupid, dude. He's got it sorted by 7 days. This has this shit sorted by 7 days. Guys, when you're looking at trends on graphs, you can't sort by 7 days, dude. Like, how are you supposed to see a trend in 7 days? Like, what are we talking about? Like, you can literally see the Steam maintenance. Like, what the dude? Like, you got to at least go to a month. And here's the thing, in a month, this is still going to be hard for a lot of stupid people to read, right? Because, like, they're like, okay, it's up, down, 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 up, down.
These ads.
Right? So you really kind of have to come out to 3 months. Now you start to see more of a trend over time, right? You start to see more of a trend. Okay. Then you come out to 6 months and you start to see rough trend. Really, really rough trend. Look at the fall off, right? You come out to 1 year. Okay. Yeah. There's the trend right there, right? There's the trend coming down here. And then you come out to all, and this is kind of harder to read because it's all the way zoomed out now. But even if you take like the lowest points and you compare them to where we were, we're kind of right back where we started. Actually, we're lower than where we started in 2017, which is rough, you know?
That, you know, there's a significant decline. We can see that the average player, now, if we look at in the total average span of the year, yes, it has declined, right? Big time. And we can see here, you know, 20,000 back in 2023 December. Now we're down to 10,000 players. So we've lost like half for almost about a year ago, right? However, you know, with this recent update with the new accessories, we gained
10 players. Whoa! Not really though. We lost 30. But you know what? Not as much of a decline though.
A whopping 15 more players. Or no, I'm sorry, 10 more players.
You oversold it by 50%. Let's bring it back.
0.10% gain.
0.1.
But I think that kind of goes back to what I was saying originally, that the new accessories, because it is a pretty significant update to the game.
It is huge.
Right?
It's a
adding
huge update.
These new accessories into the game. And we can see
it could be the biggest update of the year, right? I guess you could say the expansion was the biggest update of the year. But if you think about the amount of content we got in that expansion, it was like sovereign weapons and the world bosses with the guild bosses. And that's it. It was like a new main story, but no one gives a fuck about the new main story. Kharazad gave you a lot more. The Kharazad patch gave you a lot more to do with your stuff. You know what I mean? It's either the biggest or the second biggest patch of the entire year. And I would say it's probably the second biggest, because you can see the uptick at 7% on the biggest patch. And then this one was only 0.1. So, but big patch.
That the player base really just does not care. Like 10 more players came back. So you can see that the content.
Fake imitated Jay, didn't he? Yeah, but he left the partner program on his own though. I don't know if Fake, I'm not going to be so bold as to say that Fake would be removed too if he was still in the program right now. But I would say that Fake made a lot more negative content than any other creator did at that time. Just looking at his YouTube channel. And I think that him leaving the program was a W on his part.
Is still kind of not what the player base is really asking for, right? And so, yeah, this is a little bit misleading. There was a small 0.10% gain from
it's nothing. It's a nothing burger. We're talking about 10 players.
Update, but still really nothing
on the
significant.
Second biggest update of the year.
So if we look at the comments here, and we're definitely not going to go through all of these comments, because
go back and start caring a couple years ago. Again, we covered this entire post on stream like a day ago or 2 days ago. And I wasn't going to post it on YouTube. And I didn't know that this video went over that post, but fuck it.
There is a lot. So we'll go through a few of them and kind of go over it and talk about it. So go back in time and start caring a couple years ago. 293 upvotes.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
Especially since Reddit.
That's a huge...
Especially since Reddit, the vast majority of Reddit is PvE and life skilling players. You know this because our Reddit is just like the moderators are fedora wearing neck bearded loser. And like nothing is allowed on the subreddit that isn't literally just positivity about the game. And people just bitch, whine, and moan the whole time. That's all it is. And boob posts. Yeah, no, it's just screenshots. Screenshots, boob posts. I mean, let's look at it. What's the top post on our Reddit today? Reddit, Black Desert Online. I have r/BDO official. Yeah, guys, here's the top post on the King Reddit today. Yeah, that's crazy. What would be a more beneficial 3 hours? Oh my God, it's only got one update. Yeah, wait, what the 14 hours ago, Guardian, original content. She's a giraffe. She's a sexual giraffe. She's a blue-teethed sexual giraffe. Screenshots. Screenshot with a pixel in the middle. Carracks will be sellable soon. Just PMA announcements.
Concern for a lot of
our Reddit sucks.
Players is that we just don't feel like...
All of that to say, all of the PvP players are not on this subreddit anymore. All of these 290 upvotes came from PvE players.
Perlibus is really listening to us, right? Like, they are to an extent, but it's not kind of the direction that we want to go in, right? They're changing the game to fit their needs, but they're not really looking at our needs.
They don't give a fuck.
As a majority, right? Of course, you're going to have the minority that says kind of one thing, but I think the majority...
You can delete the R part.
Has a really valid concern on the state of the game. This game has expired in the Western market, and even in the Eastern market, they're just milking the whales that have stuck around due to its addiction. This game is addicting, though. Let's be honest. Gosh, I've been addicted to this game since 2016. It is so hard. It is so hard to put this game down. So hard.
I disagree with the take that BDO expired in the Western market. I think that's kind of a L take. Even for someone like me, who's been, negative of the game as of recent, I don't think it's expired at all. And I think that that's why people are so upset. Like, expired implies that people just kind of, just don't like it anymore. Like, no, they kind of pushed us in this direction, right? Like, this was an active change that they made to the game. It didn't expire. The game is still fundamentally the same game that we all know and love. They're just pushing us in the wrong direction, right?
Who would have figured grinding in a circle would be so addicting? I guess the combat has
expired would imply there's a better alternative, and there's not. I love Throne and Liberty, but it's not doing. I play Throne and Liberties for separate reasons that I play BDO. They are both PvP MMOs and can be compared for that reason, but BDO you play for the immersion of the open world, the life skills and professions, the combat. The boobs are incredible, right? Like the graphics and everything are really nice, and like the immersive world is awesome. And there's just a lot of different things to do. In Throne and Liberty, you play it pretty exclusively for the PvP systems, and that's why you play Throne.
A really important aspect of that too, but
True,
I came back in the spring to check out the new content, hoping to start fresh and get back into the swing of things, but there's so few players doing instance PvP. There is no in-game PvE. No, there is in-game PvE. Grinding in a circle or grinding at a stationary tower.
You can grind in squares too.
They do have root bosses now.
Ovals,
they're in the Land of the Morning Light.
Octagons.
Which I wish they would have like a matchmaking party system for that. That's kind of annoying. Like if they had something like that, that would be so much easier for players to kind of get into it.
Mm-hmm.
The open world PvP is on life support. Yeah.
True.
What open world PvP?
Yeah.
Like it's already
it's gone.
Long gone. It's dead.
Was removed.
It's not even on life support anymore. It's done with.
Yep.
And there are no planned updates we've heard of to change any of this besides new costumes and classes. Really? New costumes? Not even that, really. Like, what, one every few weeks? If that? There's nothing in the world itself to do besides gawk at the beautiful combat.
This is the problem right here. This nailed it. I agree with a lot of what this guy is saying here, except for this first take is an L. There's nothing to do besides gawk at the combat. We have the best combat in the genre, guys. Best combat in the genre, and no systems to use that combat on. It's frustrating, you know?
Is pretty great. What would bring me back for the long haul is more emphasis on group PvE content, which they did add group bosses at the Land of the Morning Light, which is fun. I think we definitely need more, though, for sure. Right? We definitely need more. And maybe they're going in the right direction with adding these group bosses. Yeah. I think there's still a barrier, though, to do these bosses because there's really no matchmaking system. So, you know, unless you're like in a very active guild, and, you know, even the party board system is not the greatest either. But
I think that the problem with I don't think that anyone disagrees. The group boss blitz content is great, guys. The group boss blitz content is incredible. Here's my reservation about it. It's going to take them 9 years to give us enough of that we could do that all the time and just enjoy that aspect of the game. It's the truth. Bro, the boss blitz content is incredible. You get to do it for like an hour once a week. And then you're just done. There's no other, there's like, you know, 4 bosses that you can do, right? There's no raids, right? They're like, in terms of like big group raids, like 20-man raids, and there's not nearly enough of the group boss content that people really want to do it all the time. Like, think about let me tell you, think about a grind zone where you partied up with 4 other people and you had to fight one boss. Not a lot of little bosses, or not like all the little mobs that we currently fight, but you guys had to fight one boss. And yes, it had mechanics that you had to do, right? And they were, you know, like 5 or 10 mechanics for the boss, right? But you had to work together to fight that boss. And it took like, I don't know, 15 minutes to kill the boss, right? But it just kept spawning like their mobs do at the grind zone. It would be a group grind zone. It's group PvP. It's a different take on grinding. I think that people would really enjoy something like that, right? But like, the bosses currently are really good. There's not enough of them, and the development team moves at a snail's pace for stuff like this. It's going to take them at least 3 years. At least minimum 3 years. This is being optimistic, to give us enough PvE content at the current rate, to give us enough PvE content to sustain the player base and make the combat system fun and worth grinding for, or like the gear worth grinding for. They're going to need at least 3 years.
Like, you might be able to find a party maybe like Friday, Saturday to do them, but it's just kind of hard to try these bosses out. They need to get people out of their solo grinds, put things in the world to incentivize group PvE. This in turn would bring out the world PvP again.
Oh, I'll let him say it first.
Well, they took out world PvP, right? So if they didn't make the guild deck changes and the karma changes, and yes, would incentivize group PvE, then sure, yeah, that would definitely help out with the PvP again. But, you know, without the karma changes and the deck changes, then it doesn't really matter. Like,
I think that pulling people out of it, this is the problem I have with this statement. They need to get people out of their solo grinds. Y'all bitch, whine, and moan about grinding in Black Desert Online. Everyone complains about it. That's half of doing it, right? But y'all love the solo aspect of BDO. They do. People love the solo aspect of the game. So like, pulling people out of their solo grind is not really what you want to do. you're really trying to appeal to when players do have that feeling that they want to play together. Don't take away the solo grind from players. That's a part of the game that people enjoy, playing the game by themselves. However, you need to give people a reason to go grind so that when they do play with other players, they feel like their gear is meaningful, impactful, and has purpose. And that purpose used to be PvP, but it is not PvP anymore. So most of the game is a solo grind to get to the point where you can go play with other players. Give us a reason to go play with other players, because right now there's not enough reasons to play with other players.
Just doesn't.
I love playing with myself. No, we're talking about in BDO though.
Even if they announce big changes at the next ball, I don't believe for a second they'll do anything. They have a history of promising a billion things at these events that never make it into the game. So true. I did a video on that, and in the video I kind of looked at all of the previous events and all the things that they said that they were going to do, and looked at the things that we didn't get, right? And it's a pretty good list. It's just a way of calming the crowd, and you can only
took 12 months.
Pull that so often before the players get wise to it. Yep. I mean, they have done better over the years of promising content and actually following through.
They have 2 pieces of content they announced in the last year: 100 floor dungeon and the Demon Palace. Yeah.
But yes, they still do that for sure. They have 2 pieces of content that announced in the last year: the 100 floor dungeon, which would be awesome. I really hope they don't go back on that. I think this would be so cool. I guess we'll have to see kind of how it plays, but man, that would be so cool. And then the Demon Place, yeah, that'd be really cool too. Both of these were literally nothing but very obvious boardroom spitballing sort of ideas with no concrete information. Hopefully not. Hopefully they have a plan in place. Unless they can drop both of them during the Winter Ball globally, this game is messed up. Not only those both pieces of content need to be huge success from day one. Yeah, well, I highly doubt they're going to be released during the Winter Ball at all. PA don't have in them to make a good content, never have. It's always just been a 6 out of 10 at best content, but it's never really mattered because the PvP and combat was carrying the game.
Okay, despite the fact that this guy can't spell, totally fine. I agree and I disagree with this statement. He says PA doesn't have it in them to make good content and never has. That's not true at all, right? PA has made some phenomenal content for the game before. Absolutely. Super doable. But it's always been a 6 out of 10 at best. Yeah, that's bullshit. And it's never really mattered because PvP and the combat was carrying the game. And that is what I agree with. Because what was happening was, no matter what happened, people would grind and they would grind. And then at some point, they would say, okay, I want to do Node Wars and whatever. And as shit as the game got, or as garbage as the content got, it never really mattered because like the PvP was always there, right? The Node Wars, the siege, you could join the scene. There'd be drama, there'd be GVGs, right? Like there'd be tons of stuff to do with like Node War guilds and stuff. All that's gone now. It's gone now. So they took away what everyone liked, and now it's only highlighting how terrible the content they are currently adding to the game is. Before, the content, maybe he's right, was only about a 6 out of 10 at best. Like, he's probably right? Like, because like the progression system, no one ever complained about the progression system until they removed PvP from the game. Whenever I feel useless, I remember Prilibus has Jae Kim. That's crazy. It does make you feel better though, doesn't it? It feels good. That's a first time chatter there too. First time chatter, Giga Chad. So like, I think that honestly, I kind of agree with these last 2 sentences for sure. These last 2 clauses here, like that last full sentence there. Because like none of the other content, if it was great, awesome. If it was bad, no one cared because you just kept doing the content that you were okay with. But once they took away the PvP, it only stood to highlight like, okay, well, the rest of this is just dog shit now, and we have nothing to do, right? And I think that people complained a lot more once the PvP was gone than before, even if they didn't do PvP at all.
I'm not going to look at all the replies because there's a lot of comments here. This goes back to the Debo.
Well done on BDO partner. Oh, wait. Lamau. You're an idiot. You're an idiot. You're an idiot.
Earring release. I just feel like that was the point everything started to go bad. Yeah, I think maybe a little bit before that too. I don't even remember when the Deborahs were even released, to be honest with you.
Zero Faith 21 just resubscribed for 10 months. I'm saying this, they probably gonna start giving free pin Kharazad accessories in the next balls cack.
Is he wrong? The funny thing is, oh my God, I just realized, guys. The funny thing is that you don't even want a Jay's hammer from the next ball. You don't. You don't want one. They can't be used on Kharazad or your weapons anymore. They can't be used on Sovereign either. You just want Cron stones. The Chase hammer's like useless. You could use it on your obliterating fallen god, right? Like, I guess, like that's the only thing left, right? I want a T10. True. The hammer's not going to help you with that though.
How many years ago was that? I don't even know. It started to go way before the Debo earring. They started killing off open world PV or open world around when Elvia came out. There used to be a massive PvP at Orcs all the time, and then they killed off being a red player, and then they killed off one-sided war decks. Those were the two things that people enjoyed about open world combat. Yeah, it's kind of that excitement. Like for me, I did not like when someone would interrupt my grind, my 1 hour grind, because it was just kind of a nuisance. But I still enjoyed it because it was kind of that excitement. Like it kind of just broke up the hour. Then update after update, only more PvP.
Most people do not like having their hour interrupted at a grind zone. But if you are going to have your hour interrupted, you want to silence that little rat as quickly as possible. That's why PvE players, they don't like PvP. It's negative motivation to continue grinding. Because PvPers. It's true. It's still technically PvP motivating you to grind. Technically counts.
Mess ups and quality of life changes they called content and slowly cutting node wars until Cho leaving the game, and every major PvP doing the same. Didn't help that TNL came out around the same time and their PvP isn't great, but it's definitely isn't bad, and you can have many hundreds of people.
It's better than our current PvP.
On the screen at the same time with no lag. That's true. That is true. I think Throne of Liberty literally came out like right at the right time. Like
it did, and I think it's really good for a lot of people, but like also it's not great for a lot of people either, right? What are all the PvEers supposed to do with Throne and Liberty? There's a tremendous amount of the Black Desert community that's like, yeah, TNL, but also BDO. You know what I mean? They're like, well, I'm not gonna play BDO, and I'm definitely not gonna go play the mobile game. Which is what they call it normally. So like, where am I gonna go? They go to Guild Wars 2 or some other game.
Literally at the right time. You can have a thriving game if you make it open world single player PvE. There's no interaction. It'd be different, like single player, like PvE, if the questing and BDO was better. Like after playing New World Eternum, their new player experience and their just questing experience, like learning the game, is so good. Like they really did a 180 with that game, especially with this new player experience. It's so good. So good. And I'm like really enjoying the questing. The storyline's really good. The cinematics is really good. And it just feels very polished. But like BDO, like the storyline is not that great. It's kind of boring.
Garbage.
The voice act.
Don't worry, they just reworked the Jordan saga. How many of us care? Crickets.
Is okay, but there's just not really much interaction. So yeah, like even like in terms of just open world single player.
Shut up, Mac.
Like it's just kind of so.
Jordan who?
No, it's granted you have a lot of freedom to do what you want, and that's the great thing about BDO. There's no interaction.
Alrundi got a huge glow up. I'll run these nuts across your face, you degenerate. You just tried to get me with a these nuts joke. You're timed out for a minute. Caught him, boys.
What drives modern online games? BDO isn't a story-based one. Exactly. Yeah, it's not a story-based one at all. Like Silent Hill 2 that gets played once and then dies. It's an MMO. Yeah. And it should be an MMO with all the elements, but also good storytelling too. I slowed down right after Elvia because of the PvP changes. It got me progressively worse, so I finally quit. The only reason I played this game in the first place back in 2017 was the open world PvP and the amazing combat mechanics engine. And that was the whole whole reason why you would grind in a circle.
Dude, I remember being at PvEer back in the day. My first 2 years of BDO, guys, I literally didn't PvP at all, except in open world with like Note, when we would go flag and drag on people at grind zones to like take the grind zone from them. That's it. That's all we would do. I wasn't in a Node War guild. I wasn't in a Siege guild. I had no intention of doing that. I didn't really like PvP a whole lot, but I did it because it was part of the game. And it really felt, when it did happen, it was exciting.
Was to get gear, which then would also translate you to being able to
armored camel.
defend your grinding spot, and kind of having that exciting, unknown open world.
I remember when Wendy's was good. Wendy's nuts were in your mouth. You idiot. Get out of here.
PvP that might just happen at any moment, right? But that's not in the game anymore. And so it's like, what's the real reason why you're grinding when really, there's so many gear caps now that it's kind of irrelevant to get higher gear. When I said I didn't think the PvP changes were good for the life of the game, a bunch of Guardian players told me that this was never a PvP game and that I was basically a selfish wanting world PvP to remain a large part of the game. Well, how the table has turned.
How the turntables? That's the Michael Scott reference, bro. Yeah, but I think that it's less so that like, I think there are a bunch of PvEers that quit the game because they just felt like there was no more motivation to do anything because the PvP got removed. So as much as they say they can hate PvP, it was negatively motivating them to play the game.
That is true. I think a lot of people kind of in the community thought that the PvP changes wouldn't really make that much of a change. But as you can see, there's a lot of PvP players that like to play. How dare you, sir? There's definitely not numbers proving your theories are right, like Steam charts or anything. This was all sarcasm for people who can't pick it up. It's been said over and over on this Reddit and their forums. Fix the end game of the game, aka PvP, which has fallen on deaf ears for years. Why? They do not care about the NAEU region suggestions when it comes to PvP. Just their KR players who aren't allowed to talk about the games without risk getting fined or arrested, which is so crazy. That there's a law in KR for bad mouthing company. Like, that's insane. Like what? Yeah. Now they have their China whales with their new servers, so we're falling even further into them not carrying, even though the NA region has been the biggest money getter. Yep. Just don't buy their games going forward if you feel like this. I mean, this person makes all fair points. Yeah, the community went crazy when I said PvP is an integral part of the game. I was called a grief for enjoying.
No problem, what's up?
It just shows PvP was an important part of the game. Yeah, very important. I mean, I feel like that's what the game was kind of designed for, was PvP.
I'm so sorry, guys. I just finished my Jatina 4 days ago. Eat too. What? Yeah, well, you can at least melt it down, okay? Yeah, you'll melt it down for essence for your nerd Kharazad. Woo!
Right, you did PvE in order to be able to PvP. They really ruined it in January, and the community has done nothing but drop.
How'd I do on the E2 impression? Because that was my first attempt at it.
Anymore, I don't even think on NA they have sieges now. I don't know because I haven't logged in for 2 months, but everyone I know
thanks, Evil Actor, appreciate it.
Now. Yeah, it's really sad.
Thank you, man.
Video can have all the PvE they want. Only chance they have is to go back to 2021. Personally, I think it's done. I'm a casual player at best. Return once a year for a month or two. Open the game. Recently wanted to continue working towards a dream horse. Saw a free dream horse in the mail. Punched the air for 2 minutes with my character and left for good.
Oh my! It's a lawn character. It's a lawn.
Now you can work for your T10. That's true. That is true.
T10 is worth it. T10's fun. It's a meaningful goal.
Joke. Where's my free T10? I feel like they've given up on the Western market and are going all in, banking on their China.
Can you melt the Kaposha? No.
Release to save them. Starting to get the same feeling. Yep. 132 upvotes. Yep. Logged in, looked what the accessories is all about, logged off again. Where are those boys at who said you don't need to enhance, just buy from the market?
Can't do that anymore.
Yep. That's my biggest issue with it, is you can't buy it on the market.
Such a good point. It's such a good point.
It forces you to enhance the accessories, and some people just don't like to enhance. Like before the sovereign weapons, like I bought all my gear off the marketplace, right? Like I did enhance my falling god armor, but that's just because I have a lot of resources. But if I'd rather just buy off the market than have to enhance. Like all my accessories, I've never enhanced any of my accessories. I bought all this off the market. Ain't no way I'm enhancing that. Nope.
Yep.
Nope.
Well, Kharazad's easy though, right, guys? It's easy.
So that kind of stinks that you have to now enhance all of your gear and you can't just buy it from the market, right? Like we're just going away from that. Greedy company that isn't satisfied with anything. More. Game is officially renamed to Crawl Desert Online. Y'all have fun out there. PA saw the comments of don't enhance, just buy. That defended their progression system and took it as feedback. Now you only enhance, no buying.
Personally, I think Kharazad is easy. You just turn in your pen, Debo, for a new Kharazad. You're basically already done. Easy gear gains, right, guys? Easy.
Make it in-game. People don't like running in circles for no reason. I love running in circles, but I need PvP to justify the effort. Yeah. And I think that was...
If you don't have pen, well, then you're playing Throne of Liberty.
It's like the huge aspect back in the day was...
Or Final Fantasy.
You would grind in circles in order to be able to PvP. And or you would grind and then someone would try to take your spot and you would defend it. And then another person would pull up and then another person would pull up. And then you would have this massive guild war open world aspect. And, that was content. But now that's just gone from the game.
What happened if I am in full Grunnel?
You don't love running circles. You just do it because there's nothing more to...
If you're in full Grunnel, you're just the most based person on the entire server. Let's be honest.
Get gear. What? I don't even know what that person is trying to say. If you need something to justify it, you don't love running circles. You just do it because there's nothing more to get gear. I don't know. They add so many catch-up mechanics that reaching what used to be in game is way too easy. Well, I think you need to have catch-up mechanics for sure. Like, just if
no one gives a shit about the catch-up mechanics. People can bitch about them, but it's like whatever, right? Kharazad was probably a step backwards on this, though, right? Catch-up handing away a free pen Black Star is one thing, guys. It costs 2 to 3 billion silver to make a base Kharazad. You can get it to Duo, which is Pry is already at the Pen Kaposha level. You can get it to Duo instantly. Literally instantly with the fail stacks you get from Season and stuff. It's a complete joke. You're literally, you're past Kaposha immediately. If you get to a Tet Kharazad, which again, total joke. Within a couple days, you can have a Tet Kharazad. No problem. If you just put some silver into it and grind a bit, right? That's a Tet Debo. Or that's one step shy of a Tet Debo. One step shy.
If you want new players to get into the game, they have
try as a Pen Kaposha? No, it's Pry.
Have to be able to catch up. Because if not, then you're talking about years and years of progression that would take for a new player to get into the game, and they're not going to want to stick around for that. Nothing changes PvE wise. You can run circles in a new location when getting more gear. There's no value in having high gear, and that's the main issue. Yes. Yep. PA has done a bad job at PvE for the game's entire duration. They gutted PvP every patch this year. There's no actual PvE at early, mid, or end game. It's all running circles in a new spot. It's true. I mean, I do enjoy running in my circles, but that's a valid point. And I think there has to be just more diversity in content that people can do. Right? If you like running a circle, great, keep that. If you like doing traditional dungeons, we should have that as well for players. Like, there should be a variety of content. Getting 2 sovereign weapons ain't easy, and I say that as a return player. There's no way people stay on this game for 100 plus hours. LOL. BDO never had a good retention of new players because, let's be honest, early game sucks mostly.
No, BDO didn't have a good retention on new players because it's a niche game. It's a niche game, right? Black Desert Online is not for everyone. It's going to appeal to a reasonably narrow group of gamers, but you really latch on. You know what I mean? Like, they really hit home with it. Like,
unless you were playing way back when the content was up to date and everyone was there. But compared to a year ago, you'll gear up way quicker, and you'll probably go from season gear to base, which you can honestly raw tap for free in less than 100 hours of grinding. That's a good point. I mean, it is easier to enhance these accessories. So running in circles so much better than tower defense. I like both. I think it's good to have the running in the circle and the tower aspect as well.
That everything they make is tower now. That's the problem with it. Is anyone else tired of these tower grind zones? Bro, we have everything in the game. Every end game spot is just a fucking tower now. You just stand there and the mobs spawn. Just a movement. It's boring. You're AFK for part of it. It's not engaging. It's really good for my YouTube, though. I'm going to be honest. It's really good for my YouTube. How many of y'all caught right now? You grind in circles while you listen to the newest Blue Squadron video? Or you just stand there and you just watch the newest Blue Squadron video? That's it, bro. So I'll bite on this one because I've close to 20 people try out the game. I would say 17 of them could not get over any of the gear progression system despite loving the combat. That's fair. That's fair. But there's always something that's going to drive people away. There's a very small amount of people that are going to want to stick with it. You know what I mean? Just like overall, because aspects of the game appeal to everyone, but like how many people are actually going to stick with it long term is what I mean, right?
Might be too late. I think people are just overwhelmed with too many new best in slot items coming out in too short amount of time. At least that's how I feel as a veteran who's played this game since release with no breaks. That is a good point. I mean, they've released a lot of new stuff, sovereign weapons, accessories. So it's a lot more kind of vertical content rather than like horizontal content. So yeah, people are getting overwhelmed for sure. I think too, though, it's like, what's the point of getting more vertical progression when it doesn't really mean anything unless you like want to flex on someone?
Do you think the ocean content should make more money given you have to refill cannonballs compared to grinding and other life skills? I do not think that ocean content should make more money than grinding. Like bartering should make less money than most gathering, and like gathering and hunting, it should be the next lowest or next most after gathering and hunting probably, but above cooking and alchemy. And I think that again, but if you're talking about like actively shooting with the cannonballs and like sailing around, which is what I think you're referring to, like Crocs, and doing like the new, I say the new, but the pirate ship zone. Yes, that should be grinding. That should literally make almost as much as grinding. 800 million an hour. That's how much it should be, because you need full end game blue gear to get there. It takes months of your time to get blue gear. Even if you get the Carrack off the marketplace, which is going to happen next week apparently, the blue gear takes you a year to make. Like it's ridiculous. And instead you make negative money. You make negative money sailing at those spots. Anyone that's done it knows. Maybe you can make 100 to like 200 million an hour, but on the whole, you're pretty much just negative.
Or you live in the Arsha server. Up until now, each update with the new item was like a step in a set of stairs. You took that step and then a little breather to prepare for the next step later down the line. Both the sovereign weapons, an entire set of new accessories coming out all at once. Feels like they just threw a massive wall in front of me. All the gear I've been building up over the years suddenly feels useless. Even though I know it's not entirely, it's just that, but also an entire set of new crystals that you need to get several for different builds.
Novella,
yeah,
bro.
it can be definitely overwhelming. I find myself.
I don't have any problems with the new crystals for the Kharazad. It's like whatever. Doesn't really matter that much. Are you an AGS partner? Yeah, I've been an AGS partner, but being an AGS partner doesn't really mean very much.
In front of this wall that they built overnight and think to myself that I don't want to do this. What's the point of climbing this when they can just throw up another wall once I've climbed that current one? BDO wasn't like this in the past. New items have often just been side grades or new options for different builds. That is true, yeah. But now there's no way around this. You have to get the weapons, accessories. You want to keep up with the game and other players. And there's the obvious fact that the new items can't be listed on the marketplace.
Yep. It's true.
And
I didn't even think about that. I can't believe I didn't think about that.
We all know where they want us to go to.
Okay.
To be honest,
we've heard enough of this. I want to see his closing thoughts.
Paying attention or listening to community feedback, and I don't know. We'll see how the future months come up, especially with the winter ball coming up. We'll see if they have any more kind of new interesting ideas for content, or if the 100 level dungeon.
The ball is going to be probably, and I've said this before, this ball is definitely the most impactful ball in recent memory. Of the 7 years I've played this game, I said the same thing about the Heidel ball, and now this one has even higher stakes than the Heidel ball was, because I was hoping that the Heidel ball would turn the game around, because the game had already lost 20% of its players, 25% of its players, and we were hoping that it would turn around and stop there, and the Heidel ball made it worse. And then we lost another 25% for over 50% total. By this point, we can't have another ball like that. Like we just can't. Like the game will collapse. Like systems will completely fall apart if there's not enough players to, like, the marketplace starts to collapse after a while. Like, I don't know, like the fabric of the community, and I said this before, is starting to stretch a little bit. Like as the Node War guilds leave, the PvP guilds leave, the PvE guilds and the grind guilds and life skill guilds start to get less active. There's less recruits to replace them with. It's harder to keep your guilds going. It's harder to keep your communities and your discords active. It's just hard. I feel bad for a lot of guild leaders,
And will be coming out at some point. I'm sure they're probably going to be introducing a new class, maybe the Gunslinger. Maybe that'll bring people back into the game for a short period. But yeah, there's still a lot of concerns right now with BDO.
Massive concerns.
Let me know down in the comments, how are you feeling with the new accessories? Are you liking them? Do you like the change? Do you like not being able to buy these accessories on the marketplace now, right? You're forced to enhance them. So let me know down in the comments. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.
Sunsets on black desert sky. It's just you and I
was gonna say, bro, that shit hit. Oh my god, YouTube is recommending me my own video. Here's this video right here, guys. Go give him a like, go give him a sub. Gaming in Bed TV does rants like this. He basically sits in bed, he talks about the game, he talks about his feelings on it, and this is kind of just the content that he makes. It's really good. Check it out. There's the video right there.